Montague Island looks like paradise. Until you arrive on the beach.
Hundreds and hundreds of tons of garbage piled up out there.
Walk along the coast and you'll find all types of marine debris from across the Pacific region. Like this pile of rope.
And there's a tremendous amount of nets and lines and buoys and floats and totes and everything else related to commercial fishing industry.
Along with fishing gear of all kinds, thousands of different types of plastic items litter this coast.
We expected maybe 400 tons on the whole island, and I expect it's probably closer to 1,000 tons.
We've found a lot of bike helmets with like spiky mohawks, fly swatters, some hummingbird feeder parts, golf ball, like little ping pong balls.
Some of the debris is still chemically hazardous, such as these logs covered in creosote.
There's hundreds of different chemicals in creosote, and it's preservative to keep logs and lumber from rotting away.
We found ourselves on a part of the island that the team has yet to clean. Even just looking around, we found two of these, chemical containers.
We find a lot of these big drums, 50-gallon drums that if they haven't been broken open by the ocean or hitting logs or rocks, they often have chemicals in them. So we have gotten to a point where we're finding those, we spray paint them, we mark them with GPS. We're gonna come back, pick them up and get them out of here.
The Gulf of Alaska Keeper team collects everything it can and puts it into giant piles, which will then be flown onto a barge and taken away from Montague's fragile ecosystem. Go AK says this is not only to help the island, but to protect the rest of the state.
Because it is out here on the front lines of the islands in the bay, it collects a ton of trash. And so this is kind of the first line of where if we can keep trash off this beach, keep it from flowing in and flowing back out and start making its way deeper into the sound, you know, that's good for the people that recreate there, that's good for the fish, the wildlife, everything.
From Montague Island, Justin Mattson, Alaska's news source. Folks, there is a lot of information to unpack here, so let's hop right into it. Take a look at this right here behind me. This graph showing the percentages of principals and teachers that have left their schools since the COVID pandemic. Now, you'll notice right here that there is a dip here in 2020, but has an overall been on a steady increase. You can see this is school specific. That's because, as the director of the Alaska Center for Education Policy, Danya DeFios, explains, there are different ways to measure turnover.
There's different ways that you could look at turnover. A teacher might decide to leave their school but stay in the district, or they might decide to leave their school and go to another district, or they might decide to leave their school entirely.
Now take a look. This new graph behind me illustrates the data set measuring the percentage of principals and teachers that are leaving those districts. Here, once again, is that dip in 2020 followed by an uptick in educators. DeFio says this data follows a trend that we have been seeing nationally.
That Alaska is sort of looking like many other states. We're at a place where the teacher turnover and teacher shortage in the nation has reached a crisis level, and Alaska's trend in turnover is consistent with what we've seen.
One more set of graphs for you folks. Take a look at this one. This one is showcasing the rural-urban divide. You can see that principals are leaving their rural communities at a much higher rate than teachers. However, the opposite is true once you reach an urban center, where you see teachers leaving at a higher rate than principals. Now, DeFio says the concern for these rural communities is the instability that comes with a principal's departure.
The principal is the leader of the school, and they set the tone for a lot of things that happen there. And stability in leadership is important, but especially one that where you're doing service to communities and to kids.
The only thing this presentation can't tell us is why these educators are leaving, but DeFio says a survey will be going out to teachers and principals so they can hear from them directly. Justin Mattson, Alaska's news source.
Also in Juneau, controversy is brewing over the proposed demolition of one of the city's historic neighborhoods. Justin Mattson, he spoke with a member of the assembly, also locals from Telephone Hill. There he is joining us from the newsroom. Justin.
That's right. Residents are upset over the proposed demolition of one of the oldest neighborhoods known as Telephone Hill. The historic neighborhood of Telephone Hill was acquired by the city of Juneau in 2023. Since then, the city held public meetings on what to do with the land. Some citizens say their voices were sidelined.
From the very beginning, I felt that we were corralled and steered in the direction of the result that they wanted. They used their 2 hours, they used an hour and 45 minutes to do their presentation and take a survey with people who had cell phones. Many of the elderly people there did not, so their input was not registered.
There was no box for leave it just like it is.
Right.
And no
Correct.
box for historic preservation.
The city says a cost-benefit analysis led them to the decision of demolition instead of preservation.
There are other ways to preserve history besides keeping these houses here. So houses are in really rough shape. They haven't been taken care of in over 40 years. I mean, there's been very basic maintenance, but not the type of maintenance you would want to do if you owned that home.
The city hopes to preserve the legacy that Telephone Hill will leave behind by using signs to tell the neighborhood's story. But loss of green space is another concern for the residents.
It is the last green island of sanity in the center of wall-to-wall cruise ships, concrete and steel. It would be like bulldozing Central Park in New York City and saying, you know, we can make a hell of a lot of money if we just fill this up with apartments.
The city says they plan to offer ample green space in the area around the planned apartments, saying it's worked into the design. Residents have until October 1st to vacate the buildings on Juneau's Telephone Hill. Justin Mattson, Alaska's news source.